Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a whole new episode of Full Steam Ahead. And of course, we got our Astros trade deadline special part two. And I mean, Angel, around town right now, what's going on? Justin Verlander is back with the Houston Astros. A lot of fans and a lot of, throughout social media was talking about like, hey, I mean, the Astros need a starting pitcher. We even asked y'all's opinion what the Astros need. And the majority of everybody was saying a starting pitcher. Me and you talked about personally too that the Astros need to find a way to get a starting pitcher. If it's not, and if it wasn't Justin Verlander, I mean, go get Michael Lorenzen. Like you were saying, you wanted Eduardo Rodriguez. Marcus Stroman was still in the market, of course. They didn't. The Cubs didn't say really nothing about him being shut down, but Marcus stayed put in Chicago. We'll break all them trades in a minute, but of course we got to focus on the Astros first. And Angel, let me give that little mini shout out real quick because I was able to witness that history of Framber Valdez throwing a no hitter in Minute Maid Park.
Phenomenal
16,
night.
Yep, 60 in franchise history. The last one to throw no hitter in Astros history, Justin Verlander. Mm-hmm. That was back over there in Toronto in the sixth with Drake.
But the one,
yeah, and then the last Astro to throw a no hitter in Minute Maid Park, you got to go back to that combined no hitter from, I can't even remember them guys' names. Chris Davinsky.
It's Aaron Sanchez.
Aaron Sanchez. Chris Davinsky, like I said.
Bigiani was in there too.
Yes, the legend of Bigiani.
And I think
there's
it was
one
Presley
more
to close it out.
Was it Ryan Presley?
I think so.
It could be. I'm not too sure. But anyway, I mean, just to cap off a day, Astros fans I'm pretty sure, are very excited how August 1st planned out for everybody. Astros went and got a starting pitcher. No hitter was happened at Minute Maid Park. Fans were able to capture a good moment in franchise history. But let's break down that trade real quick. Astros, like I said, a trade for JV. They acquired him from the New York Mets, but the Astros send the number one prospect in their farm system, being Drew Gilbert, the former first-round pick from last year's draft, and number 4 prospect Ryan Clifford. Both of them play in the outfield. And then per Mob Nightingale, everybody wanted to know the cash considerations, talking about, well, who's going to pay this amount here? Is Steve Cohen's going to do this amount? How much Jim Crane's going to come in? Stuff like that. And this is what Nightingale said. He said the Mets are sending the Astros $54 million in the Justin Verlander trade. One executive said, if Verlander's $35 million option in 2025 becomes vested, Verlander is owed about $93 million, meaning the Astros would pay Verlander about $29 million for 2 1/3 of the years.
That is a huge discount for the Astros.
Huge. And this is, and I want to talk, I'll ask you a question here in a minute too. But real quick, Dana Brown on Justin Verlander, he said acquiring Verlander really stabilizes your rotation. And just think about that rotation now, Angel. Justin Verlander, Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, Jose Urquidy, and then really right now that 5 guy is JP France. I do think Hunter Brown's a great pitcher. Maybe he just needs to get in the bullpen just to relax. And he could be in that Christian Javier role in high leverage situations, throw, max of 3 innings in the bullpen when you need him. But JP France has been doing a fabulous job in this rotation. And then, of course, the man Jim Crane. And I mean, him and JV have a great relationship. Of course, they didn't get nothing done in the winter meetings trying to get JV back with Houston, but he couldn't offer JV that amount of money. End of the day, Verlander came back to Houston. He waived his no trade clause, and he preferred his number one destination to be in Houston over the Los Angeles Dodgers, and of course, that secret team being the San Diego Padres and the Baltimore Orioles. But Jim Crane, like I said, this is what he had to say about Verlander. He said, I texted Verlander, welcome back. We missed you. Hope you pitch well for us, ... against the Yankees. His first start is going to be against the Yankees. I believe I think he pitched against New York twice already in the Subway Series. One at home at Citi Field, and then the other one at the Bronx at Yankee Stadium. So this will be JV's 3rd time this season being back, pitching against the New York Yankees. But Angel, I mean, we broke down the money situation, the cash considerations, and the trades. I mean, what do you think of this trade after getting JV, you lose, two top five prospects. What would you grade it?
It's always a tough situation giving up prospects, especially highly ranked prospects like Drew Gilbert. But you just never know. Drew Gilbert has been struggling with injuries, like shoulder. So for this trade, I'll rate it an A. I like it. I think the Astros felt the need they needed. They got a starting pitcher, because they really needed it. Like having McCullers and Garcia out the entire season really made that rotation a little bit unpredictable, inconsistent. But having Verlander there, you get a future Hall of Famer, a guy who's consistent, and a guy you know you, you know you're gonna get. You know every time he goes in the mound, he's gonna be competing, and you get him for 2 more years, like two and a
Yeah.
third more years, like that's. And you just gave up Drew Gilbert and Ryan Clifford. Like I know Astros fans love Drew Gilbert. I know number one prospects, but you just never know with these guys. Like God forbid Drew Gilbert gets a season-ending injury, he can't come back the same. Like it's happened before. Like Mark Capel, highly ranked prospect, couldn't do anything. Forrest Whitley, highly ranked prospect. You see what you say, like, or like you see where he's going, and it's just not like this is a trend that happens sometimes. So I give it an A plus, and also I'm sorry, I give it an A, and also the 29 million that the Astros are paying for for Verlander,
Yeah.
huge because now that you
Huge.
give away Drew Gilbert, you have to resign Tucker. There's no way they lose Tucker now because
Mhm.
Drew Gilbert was the backup. If you can't sign Kyle Tucker, okay, that's fine. They got Drew Gilbert, but now that's not the option. That's not the case. So it's very important that Kyle Tucker can reach a deal with the Astros.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very important for that to happen. Like you said, with the prospects, I had said it before too, about what's going to be happening with these guys in the future. You just don't know. Like I said, it's a game of risk. Seth Beer, he was the number one guy. He hasn't been coming up that much either for them. Like you're saying, Mark Appel, Forrest Willie still in the Astros farm system. He was the number one guy. If you remember, Jeff Luno did not want to give away him. He didn't want to trade him away when the Mets and they were talking for Syndergaard or either him or DeGrom, one of those trades a long time ago with Kyle Tucker being involved as well. So you just don't know. Right now, they got that mindset of win now mentality, which is great. I mean, you got that from your owner, you got that from your GM. That is a great sign. The whole clubhouse as well, dude. I don't know if you've seen any videos on social media. Bregman's excited. Martin Maldonado, he has been texting Justin Verlander at 9:30 in the morning of the day on August 1st, being trade deadline day. So, and then as soon as that happened, Verlander texted Maldi saying, "Let's effing go." And then Maldi or one of them had sent a gift to each other with Verlander. I don't know if you remember one. I think it was the ALCS against the Yankees that he tried fielding a ball, he fell down, and he threw the ball to his leg. I forgot which player. I think it was Maldi that had sent that to JV. But the whole clubhouse is excited for this guy to be back. I feel like everything's confidence levels from the bullpen, from the starting rotation to the roster. I feel like everybody in that clubhouse is gonna be excited. But now looking at the farm system, you got Jacob Mellon being your number one guy, Colin Barber being number two, Pedro Leon being number three, Justin Dearden making his way to number four, and Colton Gordon being number five. Four outfielders are still on that top five Astros prospect rankings. Of course, another one was being Joey Ledoflo or something like that. I can't say his name. I don't have his name right here in front of me either. So I tried my best. But I mean, I agree. You could give it an A. I say A minus because I feel like if the Astros wouldn't give away like a Ryan Clifford, and then a lot of scouts were talking about him being a high ceiling guy. Like he has potential to be a star, just like Drew Gilbert. But
Corey
at the
Lee as
same
well.
time, yeah, at the same time too, you're getting Justin Verlander back. This guy's going to be the number one or number two. I don't know how that's going to be decided of the starting rotation. He just makes your team better, dude. He just does. From like I said, in that clubhouse, everybody's excited. confidence level is going to be high. It's kind of like, okay, we got JV, let's go get that number one spot in the AL West, and let's go, try to get that one spot in the American League as well. So overall, I'll give it an A minus. Great trade by the Astros. Great work done by Mr. Dana Brown, especially first trade deadline. Angel, explain to us what he had done for the Astros.
Yeah. So again, this was like you said, Dana Brown's first year as an Astros GM. This was his first trade deadline as a GM, and this is what he had to say: the players we gave up, we really like those players. We think they're big time major league players. Again, Drew Gilbert was highly regarded. We think they have a chance to be average everyday players at this level. The word that sticks out to me though is average everyday players at this level. So um, I know Dana Brown believes he made the right move. Again, you just never know what a prospect can live up to. Like again, baseball's a hard sport to play, so I mean, I would say they trade the prospects for the superstar. So he also continues saying, when certain guys become available, you put a full court press on that. And now we're going to recap Dana Brown's acquisition. So he acquired Kendall Graveman for Corey Lee. He also acquired Justin Verlander and cash considerations from the Mets. As you see, the Mets are paying the majority of Justin Verlander's contract. And he gave up Drew Gilbert and Ryan Clifford. Now, we gave you our ratings. We said A and A minus. Now, I'm going to go and tell you what the fan base thought. So we Lorenzo posted a tweet that says the trade deadline is officially over. The Astros. We gave you who the Astros traded away and who they acquired, and we asked for your opinions. A lot of A's. A lot of y'all agree with us. A lot of y'all are on the same boat. We had um, Jeremy W. Said address the main issues, added a lot of cash for future deals, didn't give up any major league talent, gave a chance to make another World Series push. I don't think we can ask for much more. I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. Jose Mendoza said, I mean, good, but it can be graded and see how far the Astros reach. Not expecting them to win it all, but we'll see how they do moving forward. H Town Rue said, two high quality arms we desperately needed that are both familiar with our team and cash considerations. Well, it's a little more than that. I don't know, Zoe, what do you think?
I mean, yeah. I mean, like you were saying, there was a lot of fans and on when we had tweeted that out. A minuses, A's. We had some B pluses, some B's. Even we had there was some that had C's and D's. Um, but at the same time, like one of them tweets he had read, you're getting two guys that know this franchise, this organization, the same teammates almost that they had in 2021, and throughout their tenure as an Astro. Kendall Graven being that prime example. Working with Maldonado and Jason Castro, he's worked with Maldi at least. Maldi knows what Graveman can go through, and Graveman knows what They both have great communication with one another. Graveman loves being with the Astros bullpen. Phil Maton, Ryan Stanek already being the top two guys he's talked to about, and Ryan Presley as well. And then speaking of Ryan Presley, if the Astros can't use Presley for a closing role, well, you go get Kendall Graveman. Kendall Graveman had played that role over there with the White Sox when Liam Hendricks was dealing with with his rehab and yeah, something like that. But go ahead.
Yeah, before we move on, Gabriela Ponce made a really, really good point. She rated an A, and she says prospects always hurt, but they're just that prospects, always a gamble. No guarantees they'll become superstars. The fact that the
Exactly.
Mets are observing a chunk of Verlander's salary makes it a great trade, cheaper than what we would have had to pay in free agency. As you
Hmm.
remember, Verlander wanted like almost 40 million a year, and they actually got him for 29 for 3 years. That's just a huge discount, like we said.
Yeah, I mean it is, and that's a great point by her saying that. And then speaking of Justin Verlander too, like I was going to say, I mean he knows everything about everybody in here, from the owner being Jim Crane to I'm pretty sure the trainers and the pitching coaches and all that. With Bill Murray and them. Uh, but I feel like it's a great trade, honestly. I mean, there's really no no ugly thing about it, no wrongs or anything, because you needed another arm for that rotation, an experienced arm too that's been in the postseason, not in just in the postseason, but in the World Series as well. So Justin Verlander fits that perfectly. The organization knows how he works. JV knows how this organization works as well, and I think it's just a win-win situation. At the end of the day, like one of the tweets he had said too, uh, it's just gonna see if they can go all the way with this roster that they have.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And you may be asking, like, why are we saying like we give away Drew Gilbert? Why are we saying it's a good trade? It's like it was a seller's market. These teams were not letting their players go until they got the highest offer, like the highest thing.
Yeah,
Like very little teams were setting, and they had a lot of buyers. So, but how you were saying, Lorenzo, I think Justin Verlander knowing the Astros, knowing Jim Crane was a huge advantage for that.
yeah, especially because I mean, from John Heyman, John Morosi, Ken Rosenthal, Mark Fernstein, Bob Nightingale. I think all of the MLB analysts and insiders from this whole trade deadline had said the Astros are the number one team on his list because just in the fact that him and Jim Crane have a great relationship. So that is a great sign to see. And I mean, like we've talked about, it just got the deal done. Jim Crane's happy. Dana Brown, I think, is pretty happy for his first trade deadline. At the same time, too, he's gonna have to figure out how to get these prospects back. But I mean, he does a great job, researching about these guys, these players in the future. Just look at his resume: getting Spencer Strider, Michael Harris, and so on from the Nationals and from the Blue Jays organizations that he was part of.
Yeah.
Yep. So speaking of the owner of Jim Crane, I mean, of course he's gonna have to say something about his thoughts on the trade deadline. I mean, this was pretty crazy, especially in thinking of 2019, 2021, 2022 as well. And this was, having Dana be the first guy to be able to do the trade deadline since, the James Click era. And then, from the Click era to the Luno era. So this is what he said. He said, Dana came running into my office when Scherzer was traded. And what was reported on what was given up, parentheses, money wise, we started penciling that and it made sense to make the call. And this was per Brian McTaggart's tweet as well. And I felt like as soon, and we talked about this on the other episode, as soon as Max Scherzer got that trade from Texas, that put pressure. That had to put pressure on the Astros because it's like, okay, here's my move right here. Angels made a move too right here. The defending world champions, the guys that have been winning the AOS for a good while, that's gone to what, 6 straight ALCSs. Hey, you're up. What are you going to do? Are you going to go, try to be better than us, or you're just going to match down there and you're just going to just stay with the roster that you had? So as soon as that happened, Jim's like, let's go. Let's find a way. Let's talk. I mean, JV, I'm pretty sure was the number one target when they said that. And like, I mean, we've been mentioning this throughout this whole segment, throughout this whole episode that, I mean, Crane and Verlander, best buds. So I mean, I mean, I guess too, that's a good beneficial way to, be good with the players as an owner. And I mean, if you've talked to other Astros players from their tenure here to the guys that are in the clubhouse now, they said this is one of the classiest organizations. Kendall Graveman had said that. Christian Vasquez has said that. Trey Mancini has said that. Will Smith. I mean, all the guys that have came through the Astros said, even though with all the trade, stealing scandal and all this other stuff, Astros are still one of the best organizations that has the most class. And, even just thinking of not class, but even player development. You don't have to have a top 100 prospect in MLB pipeline. Just look at Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, Luis Garcia, Jose Urquidy, JP France, what he's doing right now. It just goes to show what the player development staff has done for this organization. That at the end of the day is going to show what your organization and the prospects as well at the end.
No, yep, I agree 100%. But moving on, we talked about Astros acquisitions. JV. Everybody's all excited,
Yeah.
but how Lorenzo said, the Angels and Rangers also made moves as well. to compete in the AL West, and not just them. Many teams were buyers, um, and little of them were sellers. So the Rangers, the first place team in the AL West, the team that the Astros are a half game back in the AL West, trying to pass over, also had a really good active trade deadline. Which, if you're
Yeah.
Astros fans, you're like, you're like, it gets you all easy, but
Mm,
hey, they're trying to win too. So the Rangers received Aroldis Chapman, which Astros fans have seen, Max Scherzer, Jordan Montgomery, Chris Sutton, and Austin Hedges. They sent Cole Reagans, re-signed Kelly Acuna, which, if that last name sounds familiar, that's the little brother to Ronald Acuna,
mhm.
Thomas Segis, Tekoa Roby, John King. Now, once Max Scherzer was gone from the Mets and went to Rangers, the whole baseball world blew up because that was such a big trade.
Yeah.
And then I feel like Jordan Montgomery and Chris Sutton and Austin Hedges didn't really get much attention because everybody was just so struck that Max Scherzer was traded. With this rotation and these additions that the Rangers made, how dangerous does this make the Rangers to? And do you think they can close out the AL West?
If Max Scherzer pitches like Mad Max that he was with the Washington Nationals, I can see it happening. But right now, too, you got to think about Nathan Uvalde being out. That hurts. Jacob DeGrom, of course, is out for the whole season. They got Andrew Heaney, Martin Perez, John Gray, and Jordan Montgomery. I'm not, and we talked about this off air, me and you. Jordan Montgomery, to me,
Mm-hmm.
isn't a strong starting pitcher. I think you could say average. He will give you good innings. He's going to give you some good games. But the Astros have faced him when he was with the Yankees, and when he was with the Yankees, he wasn't the same. I will say this though: if they have that pitching coach over there, like I told you, Mike Maddox, that's a game changer right there. That's the reason why this team is so good is because of their pitching, not just the fact of Corey Seager, how big and he has been to this club for this season. Marcus Simeon, Dolis Garcia, Jonah Heim. I mean, all the offense right there. I mean, they've been doing great, but really, what has hurt the Rangers was pitching, and this is finally the season that they've done it. But their acquisitions, I think the Austin Hedges one was a good and a smart idea because they don't know the severity of Jonah Heim's injury. And then you got Mitch Garver as well. Mitch Garver has a good bat and stick, but Austin Hedges is a great defensive catcher. Jordan Montgomery, of course, he needed somebody else in that starting rotation. Max Scherzer, Aroldis Chapman. I mean, I think everybody know about Aroldis Chapman. Not talking about Astro wise, but I mean, Major League Baseball wise, he's really good. I will say this: it's going to be a great series to see on September. That is going to be. I'm telling you right now. I feel like this could be an ALCS matchup. It honestly could be. It feels like it. You had two pitchers from the same organization twice, from the Detroit Tigers and from the New York Mets, split. One goes to the Texas Rangers, and then the other one goes to the Houston Astros. That is pretty damn cool. That just makes the rivalry just more, steamy and spicy and all them other, sexy words you want to say. But I mean, this Rangers team is going to be good regardless. Dangerous, you want to say as well. I do still see the Astros being able to take that AL West division, just in the fact that Framber Valdez just pitched a great game in his whole career just now, and getting Justin Verlander back in that clubhouse. I feel like that's just going to change the dynamic of the Astros.
Yeah, I'm not being biased or anything, but I think the Astros do have the better rotation, even with these acquisitions that the Rangers have. Um, Losing Jacob Degrom was a big loss. Like, I think if Jacob Degrom's in this lineup with in this rotation, Max Scherzer and Nathan
Yeah,
Nobody, then we do have an actual conversation. Like, whoa, I think the Rangers might have surpassed the
yeah.
Astros there. But no, but since Jacob Degrom's unfortunately hurt, I I think the Astros still have the edge rotation wise, even though they've been relying on some rookies. But you see how great JV France has been.
Yeah.
Um,
Man,
but
Brandon Belak too. Speaking of, you just want to throw out some names. I mean, he's held it down too for this rotation. Ronel Blanco just throwing maybe like two or three starting games, 4 games.
I
Credit
mean,
to them guys, dude. I mean, shoot, Luis Garcia, Lance McCullers goes down, and Jose Urquidy, he's going to be a fresh arm coming out. He hasn't pitched, I believe, since April or May, one of those months. I feel, honestly, like you said, being unbiased, I feel like the Astros starting rotation right now is a little bit much stronger and better and more experienced than that Rangers rotation.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I agree with you. Like, I don't really like the Jordan Montgomery. It's like, yeah, he's been doing good this season, but he also has a history of being, like you said, an average pitcher. But like lineup wise, I think the Rangers actually can go head to head. But when you have Jordan Alvarez, that's always an advantage for sure.
Yeah, when Altuve and Alvarez is in that lineup, uh, it's dangerous. This team looks way better, especially if Kyle Tucker continues to hit the way that he's been hitting this season. It could be another World Series run for the Astros. But moving on to the Angels, let's talk about them, what they did this trade deadline as well, because they're fighting for a wild card spot and trying to keep Shohei Ohtani in Anaheim and Disneyland. So they got starting pitcher Lucas Giolito and right-handed pitcher Reynaldo Lopez from the White Sox, outfielder Randall Grichuk, and first base slash DH CJ Cron from the Colorado Rockies, and right-handed pitcher Dominique Leone and utility man slash infielder Eduardo Escobar from the New York Mets. This team too is going to fight for a wild card spot. I feel like if Mike Trout comes back and the pitching holds on, they can actually get that last spot on the wild card. Even though the Red Sox are doing great, which you'll talk here in a minute about them. And I mean, there's so many teams. The Rays right now, I think the wild card standings as it stands, it's the Rays, it's the Astros, and I believe
Toronto.
the last one was Toronto. So just have to keep an eye on that. I feel like the Angels got better this trade deadline. I feel like too, it's given Shohei some optimism in that perspective when he hits free agency. Maybe he wants to stay with the Angels at the end of the day. Artie Moreno's kind of trying to show him like, hey, we're here to build around you. We're not going anywhere. We're going to do whatever we can to make this team better and for you to stay with the Angels.
Yeah, and actually, the Angels are 3 games back of the third wild card spot. Like they're chasing Toronto by 3 games, but guess who's also 3 games back? The Seattle Mariners, and it kind of surprised me that they were sellers too, because they traded Paul Sewell, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But they were sellers, and they are only 3 games back. That was kind of confusing for me.
And it's crazy too because they wanted to trade Ty France, Teoscar
Just-
Hernandez, and they didn't have they didn't do that after all. Another guy in the area was a starting pitcher being Logan Gilbert. And he's been I mean, I would take him if I was, the Astros, but at the same time too, your divisional rivals, you're not really gonna give the other guy
Mhm.
the upper hand. So I mean Logan Gilbert, that's kind of shocking when I heard about him being on the on the trade block.
Yeah, and they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. So,
Just watch it. Just
yeah,
watch it. And they could be coming back like last year all over again. Next up being the Baltimore Orioles. I honestly thought Mike Elias and Sigma Dale and them over there were going to do a better job this trade deadline. I mean, the only person they've acquired that I've seen, I don't know, Angel, I don't if I've missed anybody, but starting pitcher Jack Flaherty. Of course, they're in the conversation with Justin Verlander, Dylan Cease as well. If anybody had saw that too, that was very crazy. And that he could have came down to the wire in them last 10 minutes, him and the Dodgers. But Jack Flaherty is starting pitcher, and that was it from the Orioles. I mean, by all means, the offense is there. The bullpen looks good too. They just need starting pitching. And I think that's what's going to hurt them when they get to the postseason. Of course, Kyle Gibson is the veteran in that rotation, but you got Dean Kramer, you got Kyle Bradish, Tyler Wells. I feel like getting a guy like maybe Eduardo Rodriguez, since he was in that 2018 team with the Boston Red Sox, or a Michael Lorenzen, which of course he doesn't really have a lot of postseason experience, but he's had a great season so far, and even Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. But things happen, didn't go their way, and then of course let's talk about the NL Central Milwaukee
before you move
Brewers.
on to the Brewers, sorry, the Orioles also got Logan Reinhart from the Mariners.
Okay.
Um, he's a minor leaguer. He's 1-3 with a 2.84 ERA. Um, he's a reliever as well. So I'm a, I'm sure they traded him. Like he'll probably be on the major league roster as well. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean he can have promising future in that Mariners, farm system, which they do have a good farm system themselves. I don't know what they're ranked, but I mean Bryce Miller. I mean we could go on. Julio Rodriguez, of course. Brewers, the Brew Crew, fighting with the Cincinnati Reds, being for first. They acquired outfielder Mark Canha from the New York Mets, first baseman Carl Santana from the Pittsburgh Pirates, and Andrew Chafin, the left-handed pitcher with the sexy stash of his from the Arizona Diamondbacks, which that was a shocker to me because the Diamondbacks are contending, and Andrew Chafin's really a good one of them great left-handed pitchers that you would want in your bullpen. But the Brew Crew ain't messing around, Angel. I mean, the Reds. I didn't see the Reds make any kind of big splashes in this trade deadline. Brewers made these small little trades, but I feel like it's going to make a big impact on their lineup. Mark Canha can hit for power. Carlos Santana is a sneaky, I say sneaky power hitter, contact hitter for them. Of course, he brings that veteran leadership too into that clubhouse. And then Andrew Chafee, you're just making your bullpen much better than it already has. You got Devin Williams being in that closer role and so many other good pitchers on that Brewers bullpen. So they ain't playing, Angel. The Brew Crew's wanting to go farther than the NODS this year.
which is good because the Reds are competing, and actually the Reds are in first place. The Brewers came out the All-Star break hot. They swept the Reds, and now they're kind of like, I mean, they did face the Braves, and every time we face the Braves, I guess you're always in a disadvantage. But they ended up like they're now in second place in the in the NL Central,
Mhm.
and they are chasing the Reds right now. And they also have the third wild card spot. So, and with
Ooh.
Arizona only a one game out, so it's very crucial for either the Reds or the Brewers to win that division because it's going to be kind of hard to compete with the AL West and the in the NL West and the NL East because those divisions are stacked and those teams are winning. Because right now it's Giants, Phillies, and Milwaukee in the wild card spot, and you have Arizona, Miami only one game out, Chicago 3.5 games back, and Chicago's been on a they're 8-2 in their last 10 games, so they've been kind of hot. Like they were
Wow.
sellers, and then they were like, you know what, we actually have a chance, and they ended up keeping their main guy. So this will be hard. So I think the Brewers like made the right choices to compete with that division because, as you can tell, it's going to be very important if they want to make it to the playoffs.
Man, can't wait for late September, October, Angel. Man, that's just gonna be that's just the best part of baseball right there. Postseason baseball is where you want to be.
Yeah, it's always great when I feel like now it's time. It's that point in the season where every pitch matters,
Hmm.
every at bat and everything. But there's a lot more moves going on. Red Sox. Speaking of the Brewers, I think they traded Luis Urias to the Red Sox. That was an acquisition. So the Red Sox were kind of like wonky this trade deadline. Like there were sellers. Like people were calling about Alex Verdugo. They were calling about um, I forgot his name. I just banked on his name. Uh,
Which one?
Red Beard.
The red? You said red beard.
Yeah. Uh,
I mean,
Played for
Verdugo
the
has
Dodgers.
he played for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Verdugo,
No, the other one.
Craig Kimbrell,
Third baseman. I forgot his name.
Raffy Devers plays for the Red Sox at third base.
Josh Turner. Didn't Josh Turner play for the Red
Oh,
Sox?
okay, Josh
Yeah,
Turner. I
Josh
mean, he plays
Turner.
second base now for the
Okay,
Red
but
Sox.
yeah, so
Right.
well, they're calling about him as well, but they were like,
Mhm.
nah, we're keeping our
Dude,
guys.
honestly, the Red Sox, I mean, they're getting players too coming back soon, dude. Chris
Hmm.
Sale, Trevor Story, Garrett Whitlock. Just
Two,
wait for them too. I mean, I'm
two
telling you,
games back. Two
yeah, they're
games
just
back.
2 games back as well. Whew.
Now the
Dude, I just love it.
Yankees.
I just love it. I just love it.
The Yankees. They got right-handed pitcher Spencer Howard and right-handed pitcher Kenyon Middleton. Astros fans should be familiar with Kenyon Middleton because he did play for the Angels. He was a reliever as well. I don't know. I think this was for the Yankees. I think they didn't really address their needs. They need offense. They struck out what
They
18
need that.
times against to Tampa Bay, and then Eflin just like almost shut them out as well. So there's some struggles going on in uh, in the Bronx, and I don't think the needs were met on that one. What do you think on
I agree. They didn't. They needed an outfielder. They needed a power hitter. I do think getting the move like Kenyon Middleton, which is a decent reliever in that bullpen that they already have. I think their bullpen's pretty good.
it?
But at the same time, too, you just got to get guys healthy in that rotation. If Severino could figure it out for them, if Carlos Rodon, which he got pretty hammered by the Rays lineup, Garrett Cole's the only guy pitching good for them, honestly. And if Garrett Cole has one bad night, somebody has to pick it up over there. But honestly, in my opinion, unbiased, I don't think they made the playoffs.
They're last place right now.
They're in last
Last
place in their division, and they're like about what
three and a half.
3.5 games back from the wild card.
Yeah, from Toronto.
Wow,
But
wow.
they lost three in a row, and they're 5-5 lately.
I mean, if Aaron Judge could find a way to get hot like how he was last year, and some way somehow Anthony Rizzo too can hit, and Giancarlo Stanton, they could sneak in as a wild card. But to me, right now at this point, I just feel like they won't be able to make it this postseason.
I agree with you. I think just their offense has been like I think they had high expectations. Like they were, uh, many people, including myself, had the Yankees winning the division.
Yeah,
And it just hasn't been that offense has not lived up to that ballpark they have. But another high market team, the Dodgers. The Dodgers were busy. The Dodgers were really
yes,
busy, and they were almost busier. But I'll tell you about that right now. They got that left-handed pitcher Ryan Yarbrough from Kansas City, Lance Lynn and Joe Kelly from the White Sox, Ahmed Rosario from the Guardians, and Kike Hernandez. Kike Hernandez returns from Boston to LA. I think he was pretty happy about that. I don't know if you saw him dancing
yeah.
around.
That's
And
around as soon as they came into the clubhouse.
yeah, but the Dodgers, they would have been even busier. They had agreed to trade about for Eduardo Rodriguez from Detroit, and Eduardo's Rodriguez exercised his 10-team no trade clause and said,
Yeah,
"I'm not going to play for the Dodgers." He rejected it, and I don't know. That would have been huge for the Dodgers because again, right now they're first place in the division, but only by 2 games. Arizona and the Giants were both in that wild card race, so they're close behind to
yeah,
the Dodgers as well. Now, even though that trade didn't go exactly how they wanted, they got better. They got
sure,
better for sure. Ahmed Rosario, Kike Hernandez, great infielders. Lance Lynn, Ryan Yarbrough. If you're familiar with Ryan Yarbrough, he was really great with Tampa Bay as a starter. And Lance Lynn, the thing with Lance Lynn, he's good. It's just staying good. Like
yeah.
it's kind of inconsistent. Joe Kelly, I feel like Joe Kelly's just like a name that goes by around. I mean, like I'm not saying just because this is an Astros podcast. This is like way beforehand. Like I don't think he's that good.
That's too funny. And then another name you forgot, Walker Bueller, is
He's
a
coming back.
possibility that he could be coming back to the Dodgers this season. So that is sneaky. Of course, they got Clayton Kershaw, they got Julio Urias, they got now they got Nance Lynn now. If they somehow get a way to get Walker Bueller back in that rotation, and then they got Bobby Miller, who's been pretty good for them for being a rookie. This team could be a little dangerous, Angel.
I think so too.
Compared to the starting rotation that the Giants have. I mean, I feel like the Padres have a better rotation with Blake Snell, Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish. But I mean that's a Wild West over there for a reason. NL West.
And we actually missed some people as well. Like they acquired Edis Leonard from the Detroit Tigers for cash. They traded Phil Bickford for left-handed pitcher Adam Kolarek, and then the Dodgers traded left-handed pitcher Justin Bruley for cash as well. So they've been pretty busy.
And they wanted that cash because they're going after Shohei.
Yeah,
They're going after Otani.
yeah, I'm sure they are.
But speaking of another NL West team, the D-backs, of course, like you were saying, they're in the wild card position, but of course they're going to be fine for that NL West. They picked up Tommy Pham, outfielder from the New York Mets, closer, like you were saying, with Paul Sewald from the Mariners, and infielder Jace Peterson from the Oakland Athletics. I mean, this team's already good. I feel like having Corbin Carroll on this team just makes this team way better. I mean, his presence has really, I feel like with the Astros, with Justin Verlander, him coming over here to Houston with a confidence level is just going to rise up. Corbin Carroll in that lineup, I feel like everybody just plays better. Christian Walker, Ketel Marte, Luis Gurriel Jr. They have some veterans and they got some young players on that team. So I'll be very excited to see them in the postseason. We'll have to see if they make it. Um,
Yeah,
Tyler, go ahead.
I really, I really like that Posse one move because right now the issue with the Diamondbacks was their bullpen. They
Mhm.
closing out games, and I think you got like Posse was just enhances that for sure.
Yeah, great closer, great pitcher, great reliever. Wherever you put him, he's good. Mariners, AL West. Yeah, AL West. Trade deadline recap for them. They got infielder Josh Rojas and outfielder Don Canzone from the Arizona Diamondbacks and right-handed pitcher Eduard Bazardo. I don't know what the Mariners are doing at this moment. I really
They-
don't.
I don't think they
It's
don't,
kind of
or they
like,
don't know either.
yeah, it's kind of like a buy, sell. What are we doing? Like you said, though, I mean, they're still in the wild card hunt. They can beat. They're in a hot streak, like you said, 7-3 in their last 10 games. Just have to see what happens, what they do later through the season. They could get hot. When they get hot, they make it to the postseason just like last year. So just got to monitor that. Real quick, two other clubs: Philadelphia Phillies trade for Michael Lorenzen. They needed a starting pitcher in that pitching staff, and getting Lorenzen, I think, was a great move. Getting you have Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Chris Sanchez, Ranger Suarez, and now you put Michael Lorenzen in that rotation. That is pretty damn good. I mean, they're what 11 games back from the Atlanta Braves in the NL East, I believe. Because I mean, the Braves are just
Yeah,
too good. So they got to fight for a wild card at this point.
they're second. They have the second wild card.
Second wild card, yeah, they're gonna have to fight a wild card no matter what, unless the Braves get cold all of a sudden. Another team that Angel was talking about will go to the NL Central, the Chicago Cubs. They acquired infielder Jameer Candelario from the Washington Nationals. And of course, they kept Cody Bellinger and Marcus Stroman. Huge moves for them. I believe they won their game today against the Cincinnati Reds because I
Mhm.
had Justin still on my fantasy team and got me the win. So I just got to point my fantasy points up
20,
there.
20-9 they won.
20-9. They ain't playing, ladies and gentlemen. They are not playing. David Ross is the captain of this ship, and he's trying to steer them to either the division or a wild card. So just be aware of that. And then the last team that we wanted to talk about are the San Diego Padres. They brought closer Scott Barlow from the Kansas City Royals, starting pitcher Rich Hill, first baseman slash DHG Man Choi, and then first baseman Garrett Cooper from Miami. What do you think of these moves, Angel? I mean, Scar Barlow is a pretty good, got great velocity, 100. G-Man Choi, of course, the Astro fans know what he's all about. Garrett Cooper from Miami. What do we think about this?
But they're trying to make a late run. I mean, they have the lineup to do it. Manny Machado, Juan Soto, Kim, Tatis. Like these are all great guys. Like they're only 5 games back from the third wild card spot. 5 games. That Padres team could easily get hot and win 10 games in a row. So and then with Blake Snell pitching great, like I think if this team's gonna make a run, now's the time, and I think they have a really good chance to do it. And with these guys, that just helps. Well, that just betters their chances.
It does. I mean, like you said, put the nail on the coffin right there with Blake Snell being the main guy of this rotation. Of course, Joe Musgrove, we got Yu Darvish and others, and then the bullpen as well. If the bullpen could stay intact, Nick Martinez, Josh Hader, all these guys, they could really make another, like their push from last year in their wild card, it could make another NLCS appearance just the way they play. But real quick before we end and wrap up our show, Jim Crane, Dana Brown had talked to the Padres officials over there, and we're asking about a quote unquote their starter and reliever, Blake Snell and Josh Hader. I wonder what that package would have looked like right there. You're probably talking about swiping all the top five of your
Yeah,
original, with Drew Gilbert and all these other guys on there.
Pedro Leon's gone. Arrigetti's gone. That thing
I'm
happens.
pretty
Like,
sure even an MLB ready player was going to
oh,
be gone.
Jokes or Myers would have been, or even Chaz would have been one of them.
Yeah, and then that's what Dana Brown too didn't want to give away any MLB players right now. Speaking of Jake Myers, Corey Jokes, Chas McCormick, them kind of guys.
I forgot to mention that too. I think that Drew Gilbert trading him away was also motivated because of how well they've been. Like Chaz Myers and Corey Jokes have been playing as
A
well.
platoon, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. So I mean that's a wrap for special part two. I mean I put part one on here, but I just realized that right now. But this is part two.
Wait, did you? Oh, yeah, I didn't see
Part
that.
one. It is what it is. But ladies and gentlemen, that is our wrap for our show. JB is back in the Houston Astros uniform. Just has to see how it plans out for the rest of the season. But continue to follow us at Full Steam Ahead on Twitter and on TikTok. Subscribe to our new YouTube channel, Full Steam Ahead as well. FSA, Full Steam Ahead on Instagram. And of course, you got us on Threads. We don't know how long Threads is going to be on there with the Meta and them. Yeah, we just don't know. They're not Elon Musk that wants to put X on as the
Oh,
official
I
Twitter
hate I hate that new thing.
icon. Yes, I hate it too. That means we're gonna have to change the Twitter bird on our
Oh,
thing.
you're right. You're
Just saw
right.
that now.
You see,
But anyway,
but they're all black. Like TikTok's black, and with the white. Trends black with the white now. Twitter. It's just,
yep. Now we got an X as Twitter. But continue to listen on our whatever you follow on the podcast platforms, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Continue to follow, subscribe, and listen. Give us a rate. We haven't had a rating in a while. I think we had one rating actually this past this season so far. So give us some ratings, give us some reviews, let us know what we're doing. But Angel, anything else before we wrap up?
no, thank you for hearing us out. Hopefully you enjoyed our trade talks, and we'll see you tomorrow for
Yes,
the previews.
yes, we will bring back the preview. If you remember in our last episode, we didn't do no preview because we specifically wanted to talk about the trade deadline. Trade deadline's gone. Astros are getting focused for the second half of the season. We'll get you that preview for the New York Yankees, the Baltimore Orioles. It's going down, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready, buckle up, because it's going to be a ride for your life. But other till then, we will talk to y'all and give you that preview against the New York Yankees. Talk to you later.
Peace.